Hi, this is Amy, and I wanted to welcome you to my new YouTube channel here at Star Speaker Woman. Today we're going to be talking about the Great Conjunction with Saturn and Jupiter because it's big astrological news, and it is the cosmic event of 2020. It's going to be carrying us out, thankfully, and bringing in some really great new energy, and I'm excited to tell you about it. So stick around because I'm going to show this to you visually through the celestial tarot cards because they tell a picture, the archetypal energies that these planets are bringing in for us way better than I can do. Thank you for joining me. I wanted to introduce myself, and I hope that you'll constellate with me and stick around and gather under the stars with me. Many are referring to it as the Christmas star because these two giants combined will look like one, much like they did in the sky when they led the three wise men to Bethlehem. So this is a really big deal astrologically, historically, and spiritually. Now, Saturn and Jupiter meet up once every 20 years, but this is the closest that they've been. The exact conjunction happens on the Capricorn solstice on the 21st of December at a really significant point in the zodiac. It's at 0 degrees Aquarius. It's just moving into a new sign. So it's ushering in a new era. Now, astrologically, this conjunction marks the start of a new cycle, Jupiter and Saturn, but it's also the start of a whole new era for us socially. And this will last for about 200 years. So it's the dawning of a new age, as we all know the song, but we're going to get into what this really means here. Jupiter and Saturn conjunctions happen every 20 years, and then they stay in that same element, earth, air, wind, or fire, water, air, the elements, earth, air, water, fire. Sorry about that. So they stay in one element for over 200 years before shifting into a new element. And this is why these two planets are kind of known as the time lords of the zodiac, because their movements mark really important shifts in our world, human civilization. And because elemental powers are the most important because they manage all life. So we've just had 200 years of conjunctions and earth signs between Saturn and Jupiter, which brought in the Industrial Revolution and the rise of capitalism. Earth signs manage all things of earthly matters. It's the resources that we use and what we gain and sell. And so it's really a big deal because this conjunction represents the gears shifting into air signs. So let's move on from this one and go into our picture book story of what this means here with the help of the Celestial Tarot. So the word solstice comes from the Latin words that means sun and to stand still, because during the solstice, the angle between the sun's rays and the plane of the Earth's equator appears to stand still. In astrology, the sun sign represents our connection to source. It's our connection to all that is, that which gives us life. For all time, ancients have used myths and stories to bring this idea into our hearts. And the tarot, like astrology, is based on the planets and higher forces and also uses symbolic language to bring those images to life. So the sun represents a time of optimism and new order. The story here in this card is of Apollo, the charioteer, who guides the sun across the heavens to bring in the dawning of a new consciousness. Just like the sun that comes up every morning for us with a new day and a new beginning, our sun brings us life, optimism, encouragement, and confidence to grow. So the sun has been in Sagittarius, where the power from the sun comes in to free our spirit. This is the sign of spiritual awakening. It's under this energy of Sagittarius where we learn to carry the virtues of morality, ethics, justice. All of our spiritual values are held here. So this is represented here in this card by the struggle of riding along our instincts and also balancing the pursuit of higher knowledge. Sagittarius is the sign that carries the gift of being able to ride that instinctual beast with power and strength, and also have the foresight to aim for something higher. It's more than just the thrill of a fast ride here below. Now, Jupiter is the ruling force of Sagittarius. So with his mission is expansion and further development and growth. So together, the forces of the Sun and Jupiter bring us into a balance of inspired or elevated consciousness. That steed that she's riding upon here is symbolic of freeing your spirit to be open to receiving inspiration from the higher powers. And, that's why I love looking at these cards here, because, when you really think about it, that's also what, the astrology is. The astrology is symbolic of this is the place in the zodiac where we learn all of this. So the sun has done its work here, and now it moves into Capricorn. Capricorn is symbolic of the Devil card, because this marks the point in the zodiac where we are rising above our instinctual world. Capricorn rules the material realm. This is the earth element that I spoke of in the beginning. Capricorn has learned to master this element with the help from Saturn, whose methodical work is to teach Capricorn how to reap the bounties of all that this earth can provide. Saturn rules Capricorn, and Saturn is the disciplinarian of the planets because he needs us to know how to manage our power responsibly. Because the highest ideal of Capricorn can only be expressed with responsible management of power. And that highest expression of Capricorn is to be able to create heaven here on earth. This card speaks of the creative possibility of freeing the chains that bind us and breaking free from all restrictions. This card isn't evil. It represents the shadow side of focusing only in the material realm, where it's really easy for us to lose sight of our creativity, which is inspiration from above. And then we become imprisoned here on earth. We can't see our way out of it. So if the highest ideal is to create heaven on earth, then the opposite force is hell. So this card here is a reminder that it's time to nurture our creative solutions and use the resources provided by the earth for nurturing our spirit too. So it's important to understand what Capricorn represents astrologically here and how it's depicted in the tarot here before we move on and discuss Jupiter and Saturn, because Saturn rules Capricorn and Jupiter rules Sagittarius, where the sun is just moved between now. So we've had a shift from the power above between these two forces, or these two signs, these two energies. And Saturn and Jupiter have been in the sign of Capricorn for over 2.5 years now. Saturn has anyway. Jupiter's been there for a year. And now they're moving and they're shifting. Just look at the details in this card. You can see the zodiac, the circle of the world, the ring that binds us, just like the rings of Saturn. It's the ring that binds us to that earthly realm, the material world in which we live. Saturn gets a bad rap in astrology, just like Capricorn. But the highest expression is to bring our soul out into this world, to make it evident so we're not split apart from it. We are able to stand in the center of that ring, body and soul. So Saturn is the lord of karma and keeper of time, and the wheel of life is based on cycles of time, just like every force in nature. So we move with the rhythms of the laws of nature, and Saturn's job is to make sure that we understand the power in that. So this moment, the World card, represents being at the end of the journey, or having come to a realization or resolution for understanding that to accomplish the tasks in this world, we've got to cut through all the illusions. That's the devil card that we just had in Capricorn. All the illusions that keep us bound, all the falsehoods that keep us separate from truth and our soul and each other. So this is energy in the skies above us right now, and it's indicating self-actualization, which means that's where you know how to responsibly direct your conscious mind and participate in the world. It's how we cooperate with all of life. And then when we do so, we're embraced by the world, like the ring that embraces us here on Earth. So we have some pretty magical energies above us right now, shifting things. And if we understand it from this higher perspective, it seems that we have the world at our feet. Okay, so we have Jupiter, the wheel of fortune. See how Jupiter holds the zodiacal wheel of life? He's the power that governs our journey. Jupiter is responsible for expanding our vistas so that we can evolve and grow as needed. Look at that wheel. Can you see the jewels in the center of that space? Symbolize the riches of the inner self. Those are the seeds that we carry from the Creator that grow within us as we make our journey. This is where we can see that fortunes are shifting beyond our control now. This card also shows the fates. See the three sisters there? The fates that watch over the turning of the wheel. So once they set it in motion, it can't be altered. It's in every story. It's those who challenge God's authority that are stripped of influence and power. So think about what we're experiencing here on Earth right now, and we can see how Saturn and Jupiter have been working here. Which leads us to Aquarius, the hope for the future. This is depicted by the star card. The star is a symbol of guidance. It leads us when we don't know where we're going. This is the power of Aquarius. Aquarius carries the power of spiritual guidance. It's with this energy that we learn to use the light of our inner self, our higher self, our intuition, our soul, to illuminate the way for others. Aquarius uses the power of thinking and creative vision for leading us into a brighter future. Now, remember we talked about the elements at the beginning? Aquarius is powered by the air element. And it uses, like I said, the power of our minds, but it does so from the place of the heart. By the time we've reached Aquarius, we know how to let our heart lead our mind. And so we see the image of her pouring healing waters down to bring hope and renewal and nourishment. Because this is a card of healing, and it symbolizes hope and new life after hardships and oppressions. Aquarius is the humanitarian in the zodiac. So again, the aim isn't individualized success. It isn't ego. Healing is the aim. And as we have been stuck in Capricorn earth energy, where we've been stuck with illusions and out of balance there, the age of Aquarius comes into the promise of Aquarius is here to bring nourishment and hope back. Pluto's main job is that of regeneration and transformation. Everything in this world, in this universe, is energy. And energy can never die. It can only be transmuted into something higher. This is Pluto's job. Pluto's job is to manage the cycle of transformation. He does this by going down into the dark to pull out the truth. He's the custodian of all that's been buried alive, the truths that have been hidden below the surface. It's his job to bring them out. Pluto is where our self-knowledge and our self-empowerment come together. So Pluto's job is to bring power up, raise it up, level it up. Okay, so we have Jupiter and Saturn together, the two planets that rule cycles of time, the Wheel of Fortune and the world. They've just left Capricorn, where we've spent 200 years in earth element energy, capitalism, patriarchy, industrialism, individualism, everything that has propelled us forward as a society and civilization. And now, after 200 years, they're leaving the earth element together and joining with the star under the energy of Aquarius, the humanitarian, the one who wants to nourish all of life, to bring us into a new era. We're beginning a new 200-year cycle in the element of air, higher consciousness, elevated consciousness, humanitarian energy, nourishment for all. Do you see where we're going here? Why this is such a big deal? So Pluto has also been with Jupiter and Saturn in the sign of Capricorn all year long. And remember, Pluto's job is to transform and bring the energy up. Capricorn is the sign of cardinal earth there. You see the King of Pentacles, the king of the earthly realm. Everything that holds us on this earth is bound up there. And everything that we've done over this 200-year cycle is needing transformed. We're seeing it in all of our major structures. Everything is needing to be rebuilt. That's Pluto's job. So Saturn and Jupiter have just left the King of Pentacles behind to go hang out with the star. So while the energies of Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius are positive and encouraging, it's also managed by the cycles of time. We've got the Wheel of Fortune and the world here. You know, Saturn slows everything down and restricts everything. So yes, change will come. This is just the beginning. This is just the dawning, but it's going to take time. And it's going to have to be done responsibly, because Saturn's up there holding that sickle there to cut the power if it's not being wielded properly. Saturn is like the circuit breaker of the planets. He wants to restrict the power to make sure that it's not going to blow out a fuse or be misdirected too irresponsibly. And Jupiter is like the generator of the planets. So he's generating power. He's got huge reservoirs of power available to us. And Saturn's in the middle there going, hey, whoa, we've got too much here. We've got to be able to use it responsibly. And Aquarius is going to say, hey, we've got to make sure it works for everybody. So this is also the time of the year where the sun aligns with the galactic center. And this is believed to be the center of the galaxy that we live in, where the energy comes from beyond into our galaxy here, and we receive it here on Earth. So the sun is being recharged. We are being recharged. The energy has just been filtered through Sagittarius to help us free our spirits. And now it's moving into Capricorn, where we have an opportunity to create our own heaven here on Earth. It's a time to nurture creative solutions for everybody. That's going to work for all of us. But again, we've got Saturn, who wants it to be done over time so that it can be managed responsibly for the highest good of all. And Jupiter, who wants to ensure that we're doing it in a way that's going to elevate our growth. And Aquarius energy, where they're going to be hanging out here and meeting up and using the power of the air elements to bring innovation and new technologies and new ways of thinking. Aquarius rules the place of the zodiac that is all about community. It's love thy neighbor. It's take care of each other. We are nothing if we don't have each other, if we're not connected to each other. So, this is how I see it. I hope you enjoyed my interpretation, and the images here helped paint the picture of what's going on energetically in the skies above us right now. I think it's really powerful when we are able to put these stories together and use the language to then direct it and see if it's resonating with us. And obviously, this is what we're seeing in the world around us right now, and we can dial it all the way down to our personal lives, our everyday lives. So this is a time of reset and a time of new beginnings, and it's a new life. So use this time right now to just tune in. You're not supposed to do anything right now except just reconnect with your spirit and be open to receiving inspiration from higher powers so that you can be guided to a good place in the future. Many solstice blessings. Take good care. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, because that really helps me out as a new channel. And if you like my style, I hope you'll subscribe for my upcoming moon cycle readings.